As a developer, when you are writing code, one thing you always think about is the optimization. And for the web development side, we always think about how long does it take for our projects to load in the browser. When you are writing for a small project, you will never think about those things until the project becomes huge. And then we have to try our best to optimize your code. Maybe the project size becomes huge, and then you try your best to reduce the project size. And that's what I'm currently facing. I've worked on a project and now I'm almost done. Then we started testing it on different devices, and we realized that because I'm having fast internet speed, everything runs perfect. But when people try to access the platform on their devices, then they start running slow. So I have to find a better way of optimizing my code. As time goes on, I will just give you little tips about how you can optimize your huge React projects and then make it run faster on any browser. Okay, so today I decided to discuss the use of React Fragments in your project. And I believe maybe some of us today is the first time maybe hearing about the React Fragments. Okay, so let me show you the reason why I'm saying that the best practice is to use the React Fragments. Now, when we were using, I think, React 16 and then below, it was very difficult for us to group some nodes. Okay, so when you talk about nodes, I'm talking about the DOM nodes. The browser needs to render each node that you provide before it displays your project or before it displays your website on the browser. So imagine you have about thousands of nodes. It means that the browser needs to render all the thousands of nodes before it displays your website on the browser. Okay, so now assuming we have about 2 nodes, but we want to group them. Traditionally, we will use a div and then put the 2 nodes inside it. The 2 nodes I'm talking about, let's talk about, we have h1 tag and then we have the paragraph tag. Both tags have a text in it. Okay, so we want to group them. Traditionally, we will use div, and as soon as you introduce the div, it means that we've added a new node, meaning that the browser needs to render the div node before it will render the 2 nodes that you have inside it. So it also determines how long it will take for your browser to render your project. So now, this is the tricky part. We have to use the fragments. The fragment just clean all the nodes because it doesn't create any node in your project. It's more like an empty space which allows you to, or an empty tag that allows you to group your nodes. So let me show you. For example, we have the parent div here, and then we can go ahead and then have the h1 tag here, and then we have, let's say, welcome to code jogging here. Then we can have the paragraph tag here, and then we have what is it, React.js daily tips. Okay, and troubleshooting guide. Okay, so now we have our first DOM node here. So we have our second, and this is the node that you want to group. Okay, but we've introduced another node here, meaning that if we are to render this project on a browser, it will still work. Okay, it will still work. We can even switch to the inspect element and then check everything, blah blah blah. Yeah, it will still work because this one is a small project size. That's the reason why we are having this, and we are in the development mode, so this one is not a production, so you won't see the essence of using the fragment. Okay, but when we try to use the fragment here, we can choose to use React.fragments, then we close it here. Okay, and then we go back to our project. Okay, so it's not showing. Then let's use the short. It wants us to give it a key. I prefer this one, so we use this, and then there we go. So this is the short-handed fragment. Okay, so now one thing we have to look at is with this approach, we still have our two nodes. Okay, with this one, we don't have a new node, or we've not introduced a new node to our project. We still have only the two nodes, that the h1 tag and then the paragraph tag. Okay, but with the empty tag here, I usually call it empty tag. Maybe there's a different name that they used to call it, but you all know that it's a shorthanded for the React fragment. Okay, with this one, we can group as many as we want, but bear in mind that in React class components, I have not tested it on the functions, but on the React class components, inside the render, we have a return, and a return accepts only one node. Okay, so it means that we can't have div and then we can't have div here. Then we will go ahead and paste like this. We can't. It will flag an error. Okay, so at this point, the best option is to introduce a parent div, which is an extra node to our project, but we still want to stick to the number of nodes we have in our project. So we can go ahead and then introduce the empty tag here, which is not a node. Okay, there we are good to go. So we can add as many as nodes that we want to our return, because it retains only one node. That's one thing you are supposed to know. So as I said, this is the best practice when you are writing your React code. It's good for you to introduce the fragments in your project. At least it helps you to clean up some of the codes. And then, for example, if you are dealing with CSS, okay, I think one perfect example is when you are dealing with CSS. When you are dealing with CSS and you introduce extra div again, maybe per how you want your layout to look like, it will be very difficult, because the new div that you've introduced, you need to also style it again, which will also take your time. But maybe you just wanted to group them. You don't need to add extra styling to it again. So I think if that's what you want to achieve, then it's best for you to use the React fragment. I hope this tip will help you to optimize your code. And as I said, I'll try my best and then give you a daily tips about how you can optimize your React project. Because if you are working on a big project and you do not optimize your code, your users might not have a friendly experience. They'll find it difficult to use your system because they have to wait for so many seconds before a page is rendered for them to interact with your project, which is a bad idea or a bad experience for your user. So I will try and then guide you through and then see how we can optimize our project. I hope you find this tip useful, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.